Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Welcome back to another episode. It's your girl Majine, aka Mama Maj. You're listening to MamMaJism. This is season 2, episode 20. Episode 20 of Podsmas. We are in the final week, y'all. Every time. We are in the final week of Podsmas. Very bittersweet. I've had such a fun time. But you know what? We're not even going to waste any time. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. So, hopefully you're aware. I honestly, you might not be because I didn't do a very good job. I had this massive headache this weekend and I just could not look at my phone screen. But since this is the final week of the year, that also means that this is the week of Kwanzaa, which starts on the 26th and goes up to the 1st. So, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So, what is Kwanzaa? Kwanzaa is a cultural holiday created by Dr. Karenga, who is a professor and chairman of Black Studies at CSU Long Beach. And this was created in 1966. So this is a celebration of 7 principles that tie us all together. So this is could be looked at as like the foundation and the framework of essentially the Black experience. And this may be something that you may realize and may not. But once I go through the principles, then maybe you might be able to see kind of like a trend, or at least see, oh, I do practice that and you just didn't realize. Well, you've been practicing Kwanzaa, low-key. So so a little bit more background on Kwanzaa. So in Kwanzaa there is what's called the kinara, which is a candelabra, and that holds 1 black, 3 red, and 3 green candles. So it's very similar to Hanukkah in the way that the kinara is lit in a particular order. So the 1 black candle goes in the middle, and you light that first. And then you light the innermost red candle in the innermost green, and then the middle red, the middle green, the outer red, the outer green. And you light these each day of Kwanzaa. Another symbol in this holiday is corn. Which is placed, a cob of corn. It's placed under the kinara to represent each child in the family, if you have those. And then during Kwanzaa, there's a feast called the Karamu, and it's enjoyed with gifts that are given to promote the principles that are being celebrated in Kwanzaa. So really quick, just giving you a brief list of the Kwanzaa 7 principles. So principle 1, we have Umoja, which is unity. Principle 2, which I have been practicing because I listened to Podsmas last year when I went over the Kwanzaa principles, and goodness gracious, it was terrible. But principle 2 is Kujichagulia, okay, and that's self-determination. Principle 3 is Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. Principle 4 is Ujima, which is cooperative economics. Principle 5 is Nia, which is purpose. Principle 6 is Kumba, which is creativity, and Principle 7 is Imani, which means faith. And these words are Swahili. I forgot to mention that last year as well. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. So since it was the weekend and I didn't get the chance to record for Saturday and Sunday, we're going to bunch days 1 through 3 in this episode. Sorry in advance. I really hate to kind of like go through each one fast, but I have something for you at the end that I think will help out if you really want to learn more. Okay, so day 1, Umoja, unity. So this is to strive and to maintain unity in the family, community, the nation, and race. So this is especially important with the past year that we've had. If you remember, we've seen a lot of performativity, okay, when it comes to the social justice acts on social media. And especially when it comes to like the allyship and the accountability for the treatment of how Black people are treated in the United States. So, I mean, truly, I can't tell you how many Black squares I saw on social media as an act to, support BLM. But ever since then, it's been crickets. it's a little, it, and I don't know. I guess it's not really like a hot topic anymore to fight for Black rights. I don't know. Some people are just fortunate enough to not have to worry about, you know, because they're privileged, whatever. We all have privilege in our own way, but it's something that could be a little disheartening. But I think that the thing that I love about this principle is that it reminds us that we don't need to look outward for help. And when we're talking about unity, what I'm thinking of is coming together as a collective and making the change that we want to see. And that's not dependent on who decides to lend a hand out to us. So as I said, this is a cultural holiday, and this is for the experiences of Black people. So when we're talking about unity, we are talking about unity of Black people. So what are ways that we can come together and support one another and do things for each other? So this is also trickles down into other principles, which I will get to either in this episode or in another for a different principle. Now on to day 2, which was yesterday, principle 2, Kujichagulia. I've been practicing, I promise. And that is self-determination. So when we talk about self-determination, it's defining, naming, creating, and speaking for oneself. So in other words, it's defining who and what you are, or we are. And so a question that I was faced with when thinking of self-determination is, what's the driving factor in your life that helps to keep you motivated? I know for myself, it's that I really want to create a world where my sole existence isn't to struggle or to have strife in my life, right? A little bit of struggle is okay because that's what helps us grow and learn our lessons. But I mean, to wake up every day as a Black woman, it's a bit daunting, and it can be a bit much. So I definitely want to create a space, a world, a place for myself where, I'm not the butt of a joke, or I'm not, on the receiving end of some strike. You know what I mean? But it's funny though, because this principle seems to be a favorite for a lot of people, but for me, not so much. It's proven to be a bit harder for me to grasp because self-determination was never really one of my strong suits. I think I was always, growing up, I've always kind of looked to other people and took bits and pieces from them that I felt I could embody, or that I felt I could do. I don't know if you can consider that inspiration or something, but it wasn't until I got to college and kind of had a reawakening within myself where I started to realize that it was important for me to figure out who I was for me. And meditation has helped tremendously because it is a practice where you are looking within. And so now, especially with the year we've had as well, it has been a very transformative year. So even if I wasn't feeling like I could be self-determined before, nothing is stopping me now. This year has truly grown me. It feels like 5 years has passed and I just have so many stories to tell, and I'm just so determined, and it comes from within, and it just feels so good. So I understand why this is a lot of people's favorites, but for me, it was something that didn't come too easy. So it was a little hard for me to grasp it. But in this moment now, I can say that I get it. And so now on to day 3, which is today, principle 3, and it is Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. So this is uplifting the community. And this could be something as simple as doing a beach cleanup or providing food for those who are living in food deserts, which food deserts were something I didn't even know existed until a couple years ago. I never heard of it before. So if I said it and you're like, what the heck is a food desert? Look it up, for real. We'll talk about that another time, though, if you really want to. So why is collective work and responsibility so important, and why is it, a principle for Kwanzaa? Well, if you look at day 1, you look at Umoja, which is unity. How is it that we can come together, but we don't work to hold ourselves accountable, right? So that's where the responsibility comes from. And then on paper, it all sounds good. Of course, you want to help out your community and you want to do the work, but it's really putting your money where your mouth is. I think when I look at this principle, I see it as, okay, so you want unity and you have that determination to get to whatever goal that it is you're searching for. Now, with this principle, how are you going to incorporate your community, and how are you going to hold yourself and your community accountable for these things that you want to put forth for the community. You know what I'm saying? So maybe like a community garden, or like, things that are going to help propel the community forward. And by the community, I mean the Black community, right? Okay. So those are days 1 through 3. And I'm so sorry for speed running through those. But I really don't want my camera to cut off or the recording to cut off. So unfortunately, I had to keep it short. But I do have a consolation prize for you. Now, if what I said kind of like intrigued you a bit, I really, really, really implore you to, hopefully you're on Instagram, because I have a mentor who just started his own podcast, and he's kicked it off with Day 1 of Kwanzaa. So he is going deep in depth talking about the principles of Kwanzaa, what they mean to him, and even the misconceptions of Kwanzaa. So that very first episode that he has, very insightful, and really does kind of pinpoint why I feel like a lot of people aren't celebrating Kwanzaa, because they think that it's this thing when it's not. It's literally just a cultural holiday and celebration for us. Why would we not want to be a part of a holiday that celebrates us when we have so many other things that are kind of going against us? You know what I mean? So if that is something that you're interested, definitely check him out. The Instagram is called the Manifesto Pod Show. So I'm going to spell that out. THEMAIANEFESTOPODSHOW. And you know what? It's going to be in the show notes. So if you didn't get that, I'm sorry. But thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you check him out, because he's my mentor. I love him so much, and he just always be speaking truth and life into his people, and I just love it so much. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will talk to y'all tomorrow for day 4 of Kwanzaa. Bye. Thank you for listening. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and follow all the socials at MamMaJism. That's MamMaJism. If you decide you want to financially support me, on my accounts you'll be able to find out how. Thanks in advance. Until we meet again, please be kind to one another. And from the bottom of my heart, I love you.